And this is that incredible creative force that comes to us through our superconscious. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get lit up, where our essence lies. The very first organ of the human physiology is the human heart. And that's where consciousness resides. And literally, when we are focused on doing what we love, our heart has a neural network pretty similar to our brain. Mm-hmm. And our heart actually feeds the brain.
Today's guest is my dear friend, Dezi Koster. She's always been fascinated with the magnificence of nature and the beauty of life. She's an avid seeker of deeper truth about consciousness, the divine, and the universe around us. This has led her on a voyage of discovery to gain insight into what makes us tick as human beings, what lights us up and ignites our spirit. How do we grow and evolve into who we are meant to become? Completing the Natural Success curriculum not only gave her the answers to what she's been seeking her whole life, it has given her the tools for a total life transformation. As an international speaker, coach, and author, her greatest passion is to support others to flourish at their full potential, utilizing their inner creative genius. She's committed to help people move beyond their boundaries to achieve success and the abundant life they dream of. Welcome, Dezi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It really is an honor to be here. And I'm delighted to share a story and, hopefully inspire some of your listeners today.
I'm sure you will. So what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
So I'm going to share a little story, and this is from a couple of years ago. But several years ago, I was doing an online course. It was called the Business Building Empire course, and it was with two amazing business luminaries, a gentleman called Jay Abraham and Gordon Bazar. And as they were doing this course, there were a couple of things that really just lit me up. And one of the people, Gordon, had this business concept called aggregation. And in my background, I've studied Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine and psychology and all looking at, what makes us tick. And this particular business model was something that really reminded me of how we as a human being, our human physiology functions to create the highest and best for us so that, we're not just surviving, but we're thriving. Mm-hmm. So this business model is exactly about that. So I was, when I heard about it, I was like lit up, and on the course, I asked some questions. Anyway, fast forward, a couple of months later, I got an email from Gordon. And in my mind, for whatever reason, this is where the divine comes in, or our higher intelligence comes in. I thought he only sent this email to me, and as it had his personal cell number on it, my thought was, he wants me to call him. And I had wanted to, once I learned about this business, I thought, I've got to work with this guy. This guy's going to be my person. So unbeknownst to me at that time, he'd had well over a quarter of a million people go through his training. And obviously he would have had a massive database, somewhere between 250,000, 500,000 people. But for whatever reason, I thought it was me. So I went, okay, I'm going to call him. So I actually picked up the phone and I called him, and this woman answered, and I said, hi, can I speak to Gordon Bazar, please? And she said, who's this? And I said, it's Dezi Koster. And the next thing I heard was, who the hell is Dezi Koster? And all of a sudden I went, oh my God, he doesn't know who I am. Well, of course, he wouldn't have known who I was, even though I was on that course. He wouldn't have there were probably several hundred people on that training course. And in that moment, it was like, anyway, he was incredibly gracious. He hopped on the phone and I said, "Hi, Gordon, I did this course." And I said, "You've got to work with me." And he said, "Okay, I'm actually just off to my son's graduation." And I'm just thinking, oh my God, it can't get any worse than this. But like I said, he was incredibly gracious. And he said, "Look, here is my business partner's number. And her name is, Gwen, and give her a call and we'll follow up from there." So thank goodness I actually did. I followed up with her. That led to us having a meeting. And long story short, I ended up working with Gordon on a couple of projects for the next couple of years. We ended up coming up with this amazing business concept, which we actually ran, called Relight America. And we invited, we ended up having like 10 to 12 phenomenal business luminaries on that course, these were all business people that were already earning 8 to 10 figures. So they were already in the hundreds of millions to $1 billion individuals on their own. And the whole concept of this was to help businesses that were starting out, like small businesses, even small to mid-size, to really be able to ignite what they were doing and take their business to the next level. And it was like a win-win for everybody. So those businesses got that for free, which was phenomenal. If they wanted to, they could upsell and purchase from each of the individuals. And it was something that was really helping our economy here to flourish. So that was probably the most, one of the most courageous things to do, was just to step up, get out of my own way and call, regardless of, the embarrassment in the moment, because something in my heart told me, this is for me, or, for you. It'd be like, this is for you. You've got to do it. So I did.
That's fantastic. So you've always said you've been fascinated with the magnificence of nature and the divine consciousness. Tell me a bit about that.
So, ever since I was little, I've always been fascinated by, why are we here? What's our purpose? Are we just meant to, walk around, be this bag of meat that walks around? And then it's just like, that's it? Is that it? Is that all we're here for? And early on, I could see things, that there were dots that were starting to connect, that some things made sense, some things did not. And that's why I went on to study psychology and Vedic science, Ayurvedic medicine, and all of these different things to find the truth about why are we here and what are the different things that we are going to be doing. And that there is something more than just who we are as an individual. And that's something, and nature, if we look around us, we are part of this incredible magnificence, this creative force, if you will, that governs how everything works together. Nothing is isolated in a vacuum, whether it's how our human physiology works. It's like we're a walking universe, and we're a walking universe inside an amazing universe that is all connected. It's quite remarkable and incredible. Even though, think about the moon or the sun, they're such a long way away. Like the sun, I think, is 93 trillion or billion miles away from us, and yet it has a massive impact on who we are. Same with the moon. It has an impact on our tides. It has an impact on how our oceans move. It even has an impact on us as women with our menstrual cycle. So there's all of these things that we're connected to that we tend to forget about because we get caught up in our head. We get caught up in being human and forget that we actually have this incredible other side.
And it's so true. When we're down here, we get so caught up in our thinking and everything else that comes with it. So that's absolutely fantastic. So you say you'd like to know what makes us as humans tick and light us up and ignites our spirit. Tell me what, how do we grow and evolve into who we're
Sure.
meant to be?
So I thought I'd share a couple of points from that story that I shared with you to kind of tease out the main subtext, if you will, about what is going on. So the first point is that there is something greater than us. There is a creative force that underlies who we are. It's in everything, whether it's living or non-living, and it has an infinite capacity to create. And specifically for us as people, it has this infinite capacity to create what is highest and best for us. And I appreciate there are sometimes we have life experiences where we go, oh, I don't know how this is a gift or why this seems like a good experience. But overall, it is here to cut, facet, and polish us so that we become something more than that smallness that sometimes we stick to. That creative force communicates with us via our intuition. And it's where we get insights, or we get hits from our imagination, or we get a feeling, there's something I need to pay attention to. Or like with me, with that story I shared, when I learned about that aggregation business model from Gordon, it was like, oh my goodness, I've got to be part of that. And that's what inspired me to obviously make the phone call. So in that communication, we have as part of our consciousness something called superconscious. And our superconscious is that aspect of us that's connected to that higher creative force, that pure awareness, that pure creative intelligence. And it actually communicates to us through our superconscious intuition. So that's one thing, or one point that I wanted to bring out. And the second point is, it's not about you. It's not about us as an individual. Inside of each and every one of us are seeds that are planted that are our true nature and purpose. And so there is a greatness, an inner genius that is planted within us from the time, probably even before we're born, but that is there. And that those seeds of greatness is here for us to be of service to others. By having that, we get to step up and be a leader. So if you're a parent, you get to step up and be a leader in your family. If you have your own business, or you run a business, you manage a business, you get to be a leader in that business. If you're out in the community and you are here for supporting other people, you're a leader in the community. And it can be greater scale, leader in society, or you may even be somebody that steps up and becomes a leader in the world. Whatever it is, those seeds of your true nature and purpose are already in you. That the thing about us as an individual, if we just focus on what we can do as an individual, we have a very limited capacity. That whole incredible outcome of Relight America was something that came about because a whole team of people worked together, and we all worked together to create this magnificent outcome. And in order to do that, each and every one of us, our skill sets and everything blended, and then we brought in other business luminaries to be able to share what they knew. One of the gentlemen that we brought on board to be one of the speakers was an absolute genius in business. He was already a billionaire in his own right, and he did a business from startup. He set up another business literally from startup, and in 18 months, he had taken it to an $800,000 million business, which is
Wow.
just shy of $1 billion. We had people like that. And here's the thing, when we step up and really follow that nature and purpose that is us. When I began working and being part of Gordon's team, I was stepping into my true nature and purpose. When that happens, that superconscious aspect of you really gets behind you. That infinite creative force gets behind you, and literally it pushes up wisdom, and it helps to propel you into who you are meant to become. So that's the thing when I say it's not about you. We're not here to rely on our own capacity. We're here to be of service, regardless of what that is for, whether it is family. Everybody on the planet is part of the family of humankind, and everything that we do can be of service to others. My next point is be open to receive. Allow yourself to receive. Own and claim what comes to you. Allow yourself to have what you love. Allow yourself to have what's your true heart's desire. Now, even though, up until I did that business building empire course at that time, when I heard that aggregation, my immediate thought was, this is for me. I've got to be part of this. And what I did was I allowed myself to have that as an opportunity. I didn't know how. I didn't need to know how. All I got in that moment was, this is my true heart's desire to have this, just purely for the sake of having what my heart wants. And that's something that's really important, to allow ourselves to have what our heart wants, not for any other reason.
Absolutely.
The fourth point is to get out of your own way. Yes. You might be feeling really uncomfortable. Yes, you might fail. When I was on that first phone call with Gordon, did I feel foolish? Hell yeah. Especially when his wife said, who the hell's Dezi Koster? All of a sudden it was like, oh my God. So yeah, I kind of felt like an idiot. But it didn't stop me pursuing what I knew was my heart's desire. And here's the thing that we won't get if we don't follow our heart's desire and we don't get out of our own way. Years later, when I was having a conversation with Gordon, I said to him, what made you even follow up with a phone call with me or have a meeting or anything like that? And he said to me, there was something so compelling about you that I wanted to know more. And that is that pure creative force that's behind you. When you follow your true nature and purpose and you are doing what you love, your heart's desire, that force comes in and it's like it parts the Red Sea. It just blows everything open so that others will be compelled, because something in them resonates that this is something greater than them, and this is something that they too want to be part of. So yeah, if I hadn't gotten out of my own way, if I'd not followed up with his business partner, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. And my final point is take action. What are your obvious next steps? What is obvious that's next? And then do it, take action, execute it. Again, when he said to me, hey, I'm off on the graduation, even though my heart kind of sank and I went, oh my God, I'm bothering him and it's on a family day. But I followed up. I called the business partner. And then from there, we came together as a team. There were several of us as a team. And in order to get some of those business luminaries that were part of Relight America, there was one gentleman, it took me a year. It took me a year to get him to come on board to meet with Gordon, because Gordon was the business genius. So I knew as soon as they would get together, it would be a yes. And it happened. But his people kept changing. I'd call up, no, that person isn't working for him anymore. So I had to follow up with his people, then his next lot of people, his people follow up with my people. It was like a really get your people to call my people type thing. But it was obvious for me. The end result was we're going to have this specific gentleman as part of our Read Light America, cadre of business luminaries. And we did. He said yes. So that's the thing. Take action, even though it might seem crazy, even though you may fail or it seems foolish, you just go for it. And that's kind of, hopefully that kind of gives you some points and tips about what it takes to be courageous and why follow through is important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's beautifully explained, and that is fantastic. And well done for you, going ahead and taking the action regardless of how you felt, because that can be another thing. We do get in our own way, like you said, and then there's the foolishness about it. Oh, I'm so embarrassed, I can't possibly do that. You just got to wipe it clean and start again. Yeah, okay, that was that. I got to go ahead and do this, because you knew in your heart's heart that's what you needed to do.
Yeah.
And that's the takeaway here.
Yeah.
We get clouded by all this other noise that goes on around us.
Definitely. And that's the thing. When I began doing some work with William Whitecloud, and now I work as a facilitator of a company called Natural Success, and it actually teaches all these amazing aspects of us, our superconscious, how it works. And it explains in such a clear way that we really have two aspects to who we are. We have one aspect, which is our egoic nature or egoic orientation. And that's a part of us that helps us to survive. And we absolutely need that. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here. So it's great for warning us, but it is not great when it comes to moving forward in life, or it keeps getting us stuck, or it trips us because we have beliefs that we create about survival. If, I have to be validated in a particular way, I've got to be worthy, I've got to be powerful, I've got to be capable. So we end up having beliefs that I'm not this, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not powerful, I don't have what it takes, I'm not lovable, whatever it might be. And so that's one aspect, and that keeps us like a little rat just going round and around. But then there's this other side to us, which is completely outside of that. It's way outside of our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions. And this is that incredible creative force that comes to us through our superconscious. And that's where we get lit up. And this work teaches you how to navigate and become aware of, where am I coming from? Am I coming from my beliefs? I can't do this. Oh my gosh, I've made a fool of myself. Wow, look, I really am not good enough. I'll never be able to do this, that 24/7 running thing. Or it's okay, yep, I fell down on my face. I got mud on me, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the next step anyway. And that's, like you said, our true heart's desire is where our essence lies. And then what tools and things you use in order to support you in focusing more on that creative nature as opposed to that egoic nature. So doing that has really helped crystallize things for me and literally, transform my life. And it is so fantastic to be able to operate and realize that this stuff is going to be going on all the time. All the time. That's never going away.
Definitely.
What we can check in is, hey, what's coming up for me? Yeah, that's all my stuff coming up. That's the garbage coming up. All right. Do I want to follow that? Probably not. So am I uncomfortable? Yeah. So you get to learn how to sit in that tension, because there's two types of tension. One is what's called creative tension, where we get drawn towards that heart's desire, our true end result, or there's psychological tension, which is, oh my God, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now. Yeah, I knew I wasn't worthy. I knew I wasn't powerful. Oh yeah, I knew I wouldn't be capable of doing this. And so we go, oh, I'm just not going to show up for the interview. Oh, I'm not going to make the phone call. Oh, I'm not going to even bother following up with those people. That's where we get stuck in our psychological tension. And we think, oh, phew, I dodged a bullet. No, you didn't. You just got in your own way.
Yes. And that was my next question. Tell me more about natural success, but you just answered that.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about it. So you know, particularly in that initial one, you learn about subconscious, and then the course that immediately follows on from that is what's called Create Your Destiny. And it really starts honing down into becoming aware of where are you putting the focus. And your focus is actually driven by where you're coming from. So unconscious beliefs that you're feeding yourself. So you become aware of that. You become aware of when we came down as human beings, you know, we're these, you know, we're like pure divine. We're like the light. But then we become human. And as we come out into the world, all of these things happen that we as human beings, we make meaning of it. We're like meaning-making machines. We go, oh,
Definitely.
Dad isn't paying attention to me. Oh, that means I'm not, you know, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this. And in our world, our ego is literally about life and death. It is about survival. So when we start making all these beliefs and meanings of things, then we get stuck in it. And we all have a wound, if you will. We all have a part of us that is this hurt place that, you know, Mom didn't love me, Dad didn't pay attention to me, whatever it might be, because this is where that kind of starts. It starts in our primary relationship. And it is an aspect that, on one hand, can keep us stuck, but on another hand, it's our greatest gift.
Yes.
Because that wound, that stuff that we get stuck in is also the fertilizer. It's the fuel for us to step into that creative aspect. So there's two sides of it. And, you know, we start learning about how specifically we can create our destiny. And it's an amazing foundational course, because it really helps you by the end, particularly when you do the last session and you get to do the last exercise. It's a game changer, because you step into something where you see what you are destined to be, do, and have. And it comes purely from the heart. And it's, you know, it's amazing. And here's another little piece that I've learned just from my background. We think that consciousness comes through here. But actually consciousness comes in through our heart. That's where it actually starts. The very first organ of the human physiology is the human heart. And that's where consciousness resides. And literally, when we are focused on doing what we love, our heart has a neural network pretty similar to our brain. And our heart actually feeds the brain. I know that they both interrelate, but the heart, when we focus on what we love, our heart lays down completely different neural pathways and a new way of functioning, which changes the way we think. And we alter our consciousness by following what we love. How cool is that?
Fantastic. Yes. Because, I mean, I know you work around where you've got consciousness and science as well. I mean, you know, do you want to just touch a little bit on that? Because I'd be fascinated to know a little bit more on that.
I will. So one of the things that I did, I was very blessed. I got to work with a spiritual master for several years, and he had done a number of science experiments showing the impact of when we transmit this life force, because all of us have a life force around us. and we are filled with a life force. So these experiments show the ability to transmit this life force energy to pretty much anything, anywhere around the world. So it could be people, it could be living organisms, or it could be materials. And I had the opportunity to also partake in doing some science experiments. And from that, I ended up having 12 papers published in peer-reviewed science journals here in the US. And it, the results are quite remarkable, and shows that when we are connected to that force that is greater than us, we have abilities to literally change the things that we are interacting with just through our thoughts. Amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And that, I've got, I have those actually, the papers that are published, I've got them on my website. So if anybody wants to have a look, they can take a look and see them. But the results are amazing, because it changes, like for human physiology, it changes how our heart functions. It changes how our other major organs function. It changes our skin. It changes bones. It changes so many different things. It boosts our immunity. So just by simple things like that, changes how we function. And when we can alter consciousness, I mean, even Albert Einstein said the future of medicine is in the area of consciousness. Because when you look at science, or aspects of science, one of the things is, if there is a thing, an entity observing an atom, even, that atom will respond or reflect the fact that it is being observed. And everything around us is connected. Even this, we think, well, this is just space around us. It is filled with intelligence. It is filled with that creative life force. Even though it's air and we can't see it, it's still filled with energy. And we're all connected. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely fascinating and mind-blowing for me. I love things like that. So what resources do you recommend, daily steps, tools, to anyone that wants to start achieving success and abundance that they dream of?
Well, I guess it's some of those points that I mentioned before. Number one, realize that there is something behind you, greater than you. When you're interacting, or as you're in your life, realize that there are things coming to you, messages, images, feelings. Start paying attention to them. What are they telling you? In that training, you actually learn how to really hone in on that. But even if you start doing things like that now, be of service to others. No matter how small a step you take the courage to take that step, whatever it is. Because just from one phone call, we ended up running this massive business event. Remember what it made, but it made a lot of money, and it supported a lot of businesses. So that's the thing. Every step that you take, realize that it is something that is part of a structure greater than you. Get out of your own way, take the action.
Fantastic. So where can the listeners find you online? What's your website?
So it's www.dezikoster.com. So DEZI, K for King, OSTER.com. And I know you probably publish it as well. And if people want to look me up on Facebook, it's also, if you look on Facebook, type in my name, you will find me.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing your courageous journey with us today and the insightfulness. And by doing so, you have helped so many others. Dezi Koster.
Thank you for having me.
So my final question is, what is your definition of courage?
Courage comes from a French word, courage. And cœur is the word heart. So follow your heart. Follow what is in your heart of hearts. You already know what's there, regardless of what anybody else tells you, regardless of what's going on around you. Always follow your heart. That is where your true destiny lies. And that's what courage is all about. Being willing to follow your heart.